Hello everyone, I'm here to talk about my daughter's illness. I've had so many questions and I thought I'd make a video to answer what everyone wants to know. The main one is, what is papilloma? Papilloma is a cancerous wart, but the only way it can harm or kill someone is if it gets too big and pops or explodes. Now, my daughter has one on her larynx, which is the top of the tube that you breathe through and you can talk through, so where the voice box is. She's had it since birth, and there's loads of things that can cause it. May cause it. They have not figured out exactly what causes it. But the two that stick in my mind that can cause it is trouble through labour and pregnancy, which I had. Late delivery, so going overdue, which I did, which was the hospital's mistake, and messed up my dates. And the third one is emergency cesarean section, which I had. The reason it's emergency and not planned is because of the stress on the baby that it can cause. That's the only way that it can cause it, is through the stress. But as I was told by the professional, that might not even be the case. It might have just appeared. It can happen in the womb, or it can happen even when you're in your 30s or 40s, 50s. It can happen at any time and anywhere. It's most common inside your body, which is scary, because if you don't notice it, it can make you very ill, but not in a way where you would be throwing up, dizzy spell, stuff like that. It's hard to explain because there's so many different ways you can have it. There's so many different places you can have it, so many different things it does to harm you or not harm you. But my daughter's one is in the place, like the tube where she breathes, as I said. And when she was born, she had a very quiet cry, because as soon as she came out of me, I heard her, and it sounded very quiet, croaky. So I said, "What's wrong with my baby? Everything okay with my baby?" And they said it's fine, this is normal for the first couple of hours, because she's just come out of the womb, so she's gonna have gunk from the womb basically inside her, because of the fact that she's lived there for 9 months. So all I thought was, oh, okay then. I was in hospital for a whole week after having her, and every day I would ask the midwives, why doesn't she cry properly? What is wrong with her? She's quiet and croaky. It sounds like she's got a cold, but she's only been born a few days, and then it ended up being a week. They said to me that it's nothing to worry about. As soon as she gets home, she'll be screaming the place down, and you'll be wondering where that quiet baby went. Which, in my son's case, did happen. He was so quiet in the hospital. As soon as we got home, he would scream the place down. But Lacie didn't. And when it got to 2 days after I came home, we had a health visitor come round and a social worker. And I questioned both of them, what is wrong with her. The social worker said the best thing to do is speak to your health visitor, your GP, as there's not much he can suggest, as that's not his line of work, which I understand. So I asked my health visitor. She said it's nothing, they grow out of it, she's fine. So I thought, okay, nothing of it. A few weeks later, I had a weigh-in appointment so I had to get, oh, and injections to get Lacey vaccinations and her weight. And I spoke to the nurse that we saw, and I said there is something wrong with her. She don't cry properly. It sounds husky and croaky as if she's got a cold. The nurse said there's nothing to worry about. When she starts talking or saying words, she'll get over it, like it will go. So there's me thinking, okay, brilliant. Around 3 months she said mum for the first time, but it sounded very quiet and husky, like her cry. And even though it was like the most amazing experience ever to hear my daughter cry for the hear my daughter speak for the first time, the fact that it still sounded croaky was a bit worrying. So I went up to the doctors and they told me it's a cold and gave me some medicine. I can't remember what it was called, but it was some pink medicine. And so I went home, gave her that, and it seemed like it was clearing up. She didn't cry, her cry wasn't that husky anymore. So I thought, oh, it must have been a cold. Then when she turned about 6 months, this is when she started saying mum, dad, bottle or bot, dum-dums, you know, those sort of words. And they were all husky, croaky, and as if she was trying to strain to say the words. Even when she cried, it sounded like she was straining it. So I took her back to the doctors. Again, they told me it was a cold and gave me another medicine, which was a completely different one to the first one. And from 6 months to 2 years, I was literally in and out of that doctor's trying to find out what is wrong with my baby, and I kept getting it palmed off with it's a cold, it's nothing, it's the weather, and given loads of different medicines, so liquid form, powder form, and even a tablet form. It was one of those, it's a dissolvable tablets that you put in water, and I had to mix that with her juice because she wouldn't take it. At this time, when she was 2, I was pregnant with my son, and it got harder to keep taking her up the doctors, making time for her to find out why she's so husky. So I left it for a little while until she started sounding as if she couldn't breathe. One night she was struggling to breathe. Sounded really husky again, but it sounded like she couldn't breathe and there was something blocking her airways. So I thought I would go to Queen's Hospital in Romford, Essex to find out, has she got asthma? Is there something wrong? So I went there after about 5 hours in A&E because they didn't think it was that important. And this is true because I've heard so many stories about it. Because if this was important, I'm pretty sure she would have been seen, straight away. But once I went in, they checked her over, they said it's nothing, and gave me some medicine. And I was like, shouldn't I be getting an inhaler, as it sounds like asthma? And they're like, no, she hasn't got asthma, it's just a cold. They gave me nasal spray, and they gave me baby Vicks and some cough medicine, which helped the not being able to breathe, the husky breathing. So I thought maybe this time it was a cold. It got to the point where I couldn't be bothered. I know that sounds bad, but it was like no one was listening to me, no professional, no midwives, health visitors, doctors, nurses, no one was listening to me. And I gave up. And when my son was born, Lacey was 2.5. So I went to see a lovely woman at William Bellamy Children's Centre in Dagenham. So it was not to do with Lacey, it was to do with housing. It was because I lived at my dad's and 2 children in one room with me. She wasn't happy with that. She wanted me to have my own space, and so did I, and the children to have their own room. So I spoke to her about that, and then she said, have you got any worries or concerns about either of your children? And I said, yes, my daughter has a really husky voice. It's as if she's straining to talk. And she spoke to Lacey, and she spoke to Lacey, heard her voice, and said, oh, there is something wrong. And I said, all I keep getting is it palmed off for a cold. And she said, it does not sound like a cold. And she introduced me to a group, like children's groups, from 0 to 2 years, I believe it was. So I went, or was it 0 to 5 years? Anyway, so I went to that a week later, and I spoke to the person that was running the group, another lovely lady, and she did a questionnaire form with me to see what Lacey's skills are, what she needs to improve on, where is she for her age. And in most things she was, bear in mind she was 2.5, she was at a 3 to 4 or 4 to 5 year level, which is fantastic. That is something you really want to hear. The only thing she lacked at was her attention. She would not want to sit at an activity for more than 5 minutes. She didn't want to sit still. She didn't want to read a book. She would rather be running around and playing with 10 different toys. But that's normal for that age. But afterwards she also asked me, do I have any concerns? And I said just her voice. She done the same. Spoke to Lacey, heard her voice, and said, we have an ENT doctor that comes to the children's centre. Would you like me to book you an appointment with her to see what she can suggest? And I was like, yes, definitely yes. Luckily, I got an appointment the next day, because I know some people have been waiting months for their appointments. So I was so lucky to get an appointment the next day. It was a cancellation or something, so I'm so glad. Sorry for the person that had to cancel, but I was happy that I could see her. So the next day I went to see her with just Lacey. I left my son with my dad to go to this meeting. She did a similar thing, find out Lacey's skills, find out what level she's on. She spoke to Lacey, she got to her level, she played with her, listened to her, and then said to me, there's definitely something wrong. She said, yes, it does sound like a cold, but as you've said, it's been there since she was born, and it's definitely not a cold. Sorry about the noise, it's my son playing. So she said, I'll give you a referral to a hospital or clinic to see what they can suggest. So I was excited, I was like, yay, something's happening. So a few months later, I finally got a phone call telling me, you have an appointment to come in at 9:30 in the morning at Parslows Avenue Clinic in Dagenham. So I thought, okay, I will. I'm excited, get to find out what's wrong with my baby. So we get there, and there was no appointment. They had never heard of their ENT opening before 10 AM, and they hadn't heard of Lacey's name. So they rang to another clinic, Woodward Road or something. So I waited. They got through, and they didn't have an appointment for her either. So there's me really annoyed about it. because I've been waiting so long for this. They said they will contact the ENT doctor and I'll get a phone call back within the next few days, as she was on holiday. So I was like, okay, thank you, went home. A few days later I got a phone call and I explained to her what had happened. She was not happy or impressed with that, so I said, what can I do now? And she said she'll send another referral. If this doesn't work, she's going to do it herself, like go down to the place and try and sort something out, which was fantastic, because I never knew someone could do that or would do that. So I waited again, and I finally got an appointment at Hamilton Hospital in London. Never knew this place, never knew where it was, so I had to do guesswork to find this place. She had an appointment, I think, at 11 AM. So I thought I'd get there early. Got there around 10. Sat around for an hour, which was really boring. But as soon as we got in there, we got called in. They asked what had happened, what's wrong, why are we here. I explained everything that I've been explaining to doctors and everything. And she said, can you get her to talk to me? So she asked Lacey, how old are you? What do you like doing? What's your favourite colour? Lacey sat there and had her mouth shut. She would not do anything. So I spoke to her and I said, how old are you, Lacey? And she said she was 3, because this was after her 3rd birthday. And then I asked what her favourite colour was, and she said pink. Not pink, sorry, red. Mine's pink. Then she said, Mummy, yours is pink. That's what I got it from. Then she started going on about all the doctor's tools that they had on a silver, like, metal trolley. So she carried on talking, and then the person that I was talking to said, yeah, there's definitely something wrong. We'll check it out. So they asked me, they tried putting a tube up her nose and she wasn't having it. So they asked me to pin her down. So that's not something you want to do to your child, but you have to. So I held her arms and her legs, and this nurse had to come in to hold her head back, so that the tube could go in quickly, like quickly go down, I mean. So when they did that, they went down, and I was told that there will be there is a lump. And I was like, what? And they said on her larynx there is a lump, and they explained that this is your larynx. This is what your larynx is meant to look like. Lacey's larynx has a lump here, so it's covering. So all she's got is that little gap there to breathe through and talk through. There's me panicking, thinking, oh my god, my baby. And then to find out that there's something wrong, and I was right all along. And it was hard. And then I had to wait again for an appointment to see a hospital for an operation. And I felt like I was waiting forever, but it really wasn't. It was about a month or so. Finally, just before Christmas, I got an appointment. They spoke to me, same questions as the person at Hamilton Hospital. We went to Great Ormond Street Hospital, fantastic hospital. I can't put a downer on it. They've done amazing with my daughter. So we went there. They spoke to Lacey. They said about a tube down in her nose to check it. I said that already happened at Hamilton, and they said, okay, we're still waiting for them to fax the information through. And then and there, I got an appointment for an operation in the January, which was exactly 1 month after this appointment. So I was excited and scared. So I had this worry through the whole Christmas, whole of New Year. I really couldn't have a good Christmas because I didn't know what to expect after Christmas. So finally, her operation came. We had to get up at like 5 AM. Her operation was at 7. As soon as we got there, she got weighed. She had to have a drink. We went into a room, and this loads of different doctors, nurses, surgeons came in and explained everything. Personal things as well. The only thing that stuck in my mind is obviously all operations can go wrong, but they assured me that the only thing that could happen is damage to her throat, tongue or teeth. And obviously that's not good either, but it's better than me thinking, because you can get life or death operations, so that was a lot better. The operation lasted about 45 minutes, and those 45 minutes were so nerve-wracking, so scary. And after she came out, she was really irritated, wouldn't settle. About 20 minutes later, we got to her room. She fell asleep, and after that she got up, acted as if nothing had happened. Shortly after, we went into the playroom, and she said, I know this probably sounds silly to most people, but she said to me, "Mummy, I want the castle." And the fact that she didn't say it in a husky voice, she said it as if she was shouting, and I almost cried, because my baby had a voice. My baby could talk. And after that, I was happy. Her voice was normal, I suppose, and I thanked the doctors and the surgeons. We went home the next day, and she was fine. And then about 2 weeks later, her voice started going funny again, and there's me worrying. But she had another operation the following month, and obviously that's another panic. And no matter how many surgeries you have, it never gets easier. But they sorted it again. She could talk again. She's had 6 operations in total. She has another one this January coming. Same procedure each time. You have to sign a lot of things, you've got to read a lot of things, you've got to wait, then you've got to comfort her and make sure she's okay afterwards, make sure she eats and drinks afterwards, make sure you're there on time. That's the hardest bit, because that's rush hour really by the time I'm getting on the train, because everyone that needs to get into work between 7 and 9 a.m. 2 trains, it is hard. But the fact that Great Ormond Street Hospital are doing something by helping her is amazing. Okay, so questions that have been asked are, how long will she have it? This depends. They're hoping to get rid of it naturally by the operations. They also said, this is another question, is will she have it for life? Can she get rid of it? They said when her hormone changes, so between 9 and 11, when they go through their hormone change, they're hoping that it will kill it off, like kill the bacteria as she grows, because that is very common. So fingers crossed that happens. But he also said it could go and come back later on in her life, which I'm hoping it doesn't. They said it could go tomorrow, and then as soon as she turns about 30, it's back. It's a touch and go thing, but we're all hoping that hits puberty, done and gone. So everything crossed. Another question was how long the surgery is. The maximum time is 45 minutes, and recovery is about between 5 and 10 minutes before they get taken to their room. How do I cope? I don't. I have to put a smile on my face for my daughter's sake. But as soon as she gets put to sleep, that's it. I want to cry. And the only way you stay strong is you think about the after. You think about when she wakes up, when you're going to cuddle her, how she's feeling. That is what goes on in my mind. I have to put my feelings aside to make sure she's okay. How many operations has she had? 6. How many will she have? I don't know until it's gone. This is the start of it, and we've got a long way ahead. I've already explained what papilloma was at the beginning. She has had it since birth. Nothing really causes it. It's not genetic. I thought maybe it was genetic, but it's not. It can just appear, like most illnesses can just appear. The fact that she's so young hurts. The fact that I can't help her hurts. I don't want her to have these operations, but she needs them, and I'm glad she's having them. Thank you for watching. Any more questions, comment them below, and I'll make another video if you like. Thank you. Bye.